Ladies and gentlemen, it's Rams week. The first divisional match for the Arizona Cardinals in the 2024 season. How are they going to stack up and things you need to look out for? Let's get started. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back into another video. Definitely do me a huge favor, smack up that like button and subscribe for more Arizona Cardinals content. On this channel, we're covering everything Arizona Cardinals every single week for the rest of the 2024 season. So subscribe it up. It's absolutely for free. All right, everybody, let's go and dive right into it. Let's talk about week 2, Cardinals versus Rams. Now, let's first start off with the injury report and what we know so far. Yesterday night, around the evening hours, we did get word here from Jeremy Fowler that Jonah Williams, right tackle for the Arizona Cardinals, will most likely miss a significant amount of time. Now, we don't have a specific timeline as of right now, but definitely does not look good for the Arizona Cardinals right tackle in Jonah Williams. Now, I think we could all say that when Jonah Williams was available, this offensive line was actually better than when Kelvin Beachum was subbed in. Now, we are going to give some time to Kelvin Beachum to obviously gel with the rest of the offensive linemen. He does have starting reps as far as being a tackle for the Cardinals in prior years. It's going to take some time for him to gel amongst the other offensive linemen, but as of right now, it looks like Kelvin Beachum is going to be the right tackle for the Cardinals unless we make some sort of elevation from the practice squad, or if the Arizona Cardinals go after somebody in free agency, or if the Cardinals go after a trade. But we know how that kind of usually works. It most likely will be Kelvin Beachum heading into week 2, so fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Let's move on over to the Los Angeles Rams. They are going through the ringer when it comes down to injuries currently right now. One of the biggest injuries that they have is Puka Nacua, second-year wide receiver, and man, this guy absolutely went off last year, and there was a lot of high hopes and a lot of high praise that he can redo that again this year, but he's going to have to wait for at least 4 weeks because he landed himself on the IR. But there is a lot of confidence with their wide receiving core right now with Cooper Kupp, and there has been some, Rams fans out there letting me know that Tyler Johnson as well as Demarcus Robinson can definitely be some names to look out for their wide receiving core. So fans don't seem to be as concerned. Me, as an outsider looking in, I feel like the big loss of Puka Nacua is a lot bigger than Rams fans want to admit, but we're going to have to see how it all kind of, shakes out. Matthew Stafford is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFC, and if anybody can do it, Matthew Stafford can definitely do so. Week 1 versus the Lions for the Rams, they had a lot of injuries, and that's also including Puka Nacua, but their offensive line as of right now is decimated. Right now, they do have their left guard Steve Avila listed as doubtful right now. Not out, but doubtful, but there is some questionable players as well, and that's going to be their right guard, which is Kevin Dotson, as well as right tackle Rob Havenstein. So there is a lot of injury concerns with the Rams. I think they're dealing with it a lot more. Now, here's going to be the big focal point for the Cardinals to lean on. They're not going to potentially have 3 of their 5 starters. So that should be something that the Cardinals should have a light bulb on, right? Potentially sending blitzes over to Matthew Stafford, or if they think they can get back there with our front 4, they need to make sure that when they get back there, they bring down the quarterback and not let him escape from the pocket. Now, let's go and get started here, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk about things to look out for, players to look out for, and we're going to wrap it up with a prediction and see who wins this Cardinals versus Rams game week 2. Now, one other thing I want to point out here is that Sean McVay has had the Cardinals number for what seems to be years. I think the last time I looked, he's definitely had more wins, and I'm talking about double digits compared to the Cardinals wins. I'm talking about Sean McVay led Rams when he plays the Arizona Cardinals. So the Rams are licking their chops right now. They're looking at the Cardinals and they do not see us as a threat. Although they know that we hung with the Buffalo Bills, they're looking at this as an easy win. I don't think it's going to be that easy personally, but these are the things the Cardinals absolutely need to do to potentially get a win. I think that because they are dealing with a lot of injuries in their offensive line, that should be the point of attack from the get, right? Now, as of right now, if we look at our depth chart, we don't really have a lot of guys that you're going to say to yourself, man, this guy's going to eat, right? He's going to have 2 or 3 sacks. We don't have that on our defensive line, unfortunately. B.J. Ojulari ended up going down before the season started, as well as Darius Robinson, which is our first round pick. So we got to, really focus on who we have on the line right now. And we got Zaven Collins on the outside, Dennis Gardick on the outside, but we need more production from the guys in the inside, right? Your Bilal Nichols, your Justin Jones, your or Roy Lopez. We need to make sure that when they get back there, they wrap up Matthew Stafford. And I don't know if you feel the same way, but the Cardinals were getting pressure on Josh Allen. The problem is that Josh Allen is an absolute magician, and he can get out in the worst of times, right? He made the defensive line look absolutely silly. We're looking at a completely different quarterback with Matthew Stafford. Now, although I feel like Matthew Stafford is as surgical as it gets when it comes down to a really, really good quarterback, and he just needs like 2 or 3 seconds to find that open wide receiver, it's a different type of quarterback that we played in week 1. So we need to take that into account as well. I feel like if we can apply the pressure that we did to Josh Allen, especially because they're dealing with injuries in their offensive line, we can definitely very well get back there and rattle the cage of Matthew Stafford. Let's move on over to the second thing that I feel like the Cardinals need to do to get this win. It's as easy as getting your wide receivers open, right? We've heard Drew Petzing come out and acknowledge the fact that, yes, it might have been a mistake as to why we did not get Marvin Harrison Jr. involved, but he's not worried about Marvin Harrison Jr. He thinks he's going to be absolutely fine the remaining of the 16 games on the schedule. But I think when it comes down to it, I feel like the game plan was run the ball down the Buffalo Bills' throats as well as a short game. The problem was that when it was working, the Buffalo Bills adjusted and the Cardinals didn't adjust. So I think our running game is very, very important for this offense to succeed for the Cardinals. But I think at the end of the day, you got to get your wide receivers involved, right? Now, I know there's a big hoopla around Marvin Harrison Jr. not getting the ball, but you also got to look at Michael Wilson. There's absolutely no reason why our top 2 wide receivers should only get 1 catch 5 yards and the other one getting 1 catch 4 yards, right? There's absolutely no excuse for it. That needs to change. If we want to get our offense going, if we want to get our offense to the level that we need to see them at, they need to be as involved as it comes, right? This is no longer acceptable. The honeymoon phase is over. We need to get it fixed, Drew Petzing. So that's definitely my key point number 2, that we need to make sure that those wide receivers are as involved as our running game in order for the Cardinals to succeed. Let's move on over to the number 3 point. I think obviously the health of Kyler Murray is important. Making sure Kyler Murray stays upright. I understand we just talked about Jonah Williams going down. Kelvin Beacham's going to need to be as great as they come. Now, I have confidence in the remaining of the guys that we have, but we need to make sure that our offensive line holds up. I'm not going to put it all on Kelvin Beacham. They all need to work together. They all need to communicate amongst each other and make sure that Kyler Murray has a clean pocket to see if he can deliver the ball to the right wide receiver or tight end or just offensive weapon in general. All right, now let's move on over to players to look out for the Los Angeles Rams. I think we all know, and we thought that we were going to see a big drop-off with their defense with Aaron Donald not being there. And I do think that there is a drop-off with Aaron Donald, not being there as well. But I do think that this defense is better than most people anticipated. And we got to start off here with Jared Verse, their rookie that they just drafted this last year. He already had 1 sack, 2 solo tackles, and this man is absolutely a freak when it comes off the line. So I'm a little worried that if their game plan is to use him against Kelvin Beacham, we need to get some sort of running back to pass protect, because this guy he's good. He's as good as advertised. So we got to make sure that we keep an eye out in Jared Verse on that line. On the offensive side of the ball, Cooper Kupp, man. Cooper Kupp is as good as it gets when it comes down to their wide receiving core. He is a very good wide receiver. And then last week against the Lions, he had 14 receptions, 110 yards, 1 touchdown. He averaged about 7.9 yards a catch. That's unacceptable. If he goes off like that, it almost kind of feels like it's going to be swayed over to the Los Angeles Rams. I'm not saying that we got to shut down Cooper Kupp. I don't think that's possible, but we do got to limit him to a less impactful player type of game, right? Like, we can't have him go off at over 100 plus yards, averaging 17.9 yards a catch, and then having 14 receptions. We can't do that. We got to make sure that we know where he's at all times. So 2 players to look out for so far, Cooper Kupp as well as Jared Verse, and then Kyren Williams, ladies and gentlemen. Every time Kyren Williams, I feel like we play him, or I guess, we played him twice so far, but he's been very, very impactful for the Los Angeles Rams. And it almost kind of seems like Sean McVay doesn't want to do the run game, but when he notices it works with Kyren, it almost kind of feels like it's game over for the Cardinals as well. So Kyren Williams' last game in 2023, he ended up having a total of 158 yards on us, 20 attempts, and 1 rushing touchdown. So that's another weapon that we need to look out for as well. Kyren Williams, if he can get going, that's not going to be a good look for the Cardinals. Now, last week versus the Lions, he had a pretty respectable game. He had 18 carries, 50 yards, 1 touchdown. So nothing like to write home about, but he is a very, very good running back. Do not get it twisted. He's a very, very good running back. And if the Cardinals have the holes, then it can be very, very bad news for the Cardinals. We need to contain Kyren. We need to contain Cooper Kupp. And we need to contain Jared Verse as well. I think obviously Matthew Stafford is a no-brainer. That's why I'm not putting him on my list. But I think overall this game's going to come down to, can we apply pressure to Matthew Stafford? He's not going to be able to run out of the pocket like Josh Allen has. Now, we were applying pressure to Josh Allen. We just could not bring him down. We're talking about a completely different prototypical quarterback in Matthew Stafford. If we get back there, wrap him up, because they're going to be big, crucial, momentum swinging plays for the Cardinals that they need to take advantage of, and the defense is going to need to absolutely show up, because nobody has confidence in the defense and the performance that we've seen versus Josh Allen. We were doing a good job in quarter one or maybe even quarter two in week one, but it all kind of fell apart when the offense wasn't able to do anything in the second half, and everything just fell apart from there. So we need to make sure that we rattle the cage of Matthew Stafford. Do not let him get comfortable. I said it, he's surgical. Even when he's got some sort of pressure, he's still a very good thrower, a very good quarterback, but we need to be able to contain what we can contain. And we need to put some points up on the offensive side of the ball. Get those wide receivers open, get James Conner going, get Kyler Murray as elusive as he can. Arizona Cardinals can squeak out a win in week 2 versus the Rams. Now, this is a home game. We need to take advantage of these home games. We have not had very good luck with home games last year, as well as the last year of Cliff Kingsbury as well. So we got to change the narrative, and it starts now. And Vegas actually has us as a 1-point favorite, so I'm not used to it. Let's see exactly what happens here. Cardinals versus Rams. Let me give you my prediction. I think the Cardinals will come up with the win. I say 28 Cardinals, Rams 23. We have two teams right now with their back against the wall, and none of us wants to start off at 0-2. This is the time to change the narrative, ladies and gentlemen. Cardinals need this win, because after this week, we got the Lions. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let me know what your guys' prediction is in the comments below. Appreciate y'all for tuning in as always. Have a great rest of your day, and go Cardinals.